Manualing your e-bike is definitely pretty impressive and one of those skills that can help you out on the trails massively too. But it's definitely a fine art to perfect and a lot of mistakes can be made on the way. Today, we're taking a look at all your common manual mistakes. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of riders when they come into manual is not doing a bit of suspension preload before they go into that manual position. It doesn't necessarily lift the front wheel. What it does is actually put a lot of energy into the bike suspension. When you combine it with that weight shift down and back up with a little bit of suspension preload, it's going to put a lot of energy into the bike and that front wheel is going to pop up a lot easier. So when it comes to manualing, a lot of people think it's just about pulling up with your arms and leaning back. It's not that. If you pull up with just your arms, you're going to get a front wheel lift, but it's going to drop straight away. So you're going to be up for a very few little moments. When you do the actual pull back, it needs to be from your wrist to your shoulders and actually all the way down your back to your bum. Your bum needs to be the hinge point in the actual movement. So make sure you're not just pulling with the arms, you're pulling through with the arm, pulling that front wheel high, but hinging with your bum over the back of the bike. It's all about getting that weight back and pulling through, not just with your arms, your whole body. Rear brake modulation is definitely key when it comes to manualing. You need to learn how to feather this thing. You need to be super light on it, hardly, you're just literally scrubbing it. If you're coming into it and you get to that sweet spot and you literally grab a handful of back brake because you get scared, the front wheel's just going to drop straight away. You need to feather it, keep it smooth. Okay, weight position is definitely something you need to be thinking about when it comes to manualing. Literally the rear axle here is the pivot point of the bike. If you've not got any weight behind that, then the front wheel is never going to lift. You might get it up for a short while, but an extended manual is definitely not going to happen. You need to get some weight definitely behind that rear axle path. If you're all in the front of the bike here trying to do everything, it's never going to happen. You need to get weight back behind the bike, almost sit there and you can feel the sweet spot where it needs to be. If you're here, it's just going to drop straight down. So location is definitely something you want to think about when it comes to manualing. If you're trying to do it on bumpy ground or soft ground or slightly uphill, it's never going to happen. You need to find somewhere like this. This is a slightly downhill fire road, got no traffic. It's nice and smooth with a gradual downhill slope, meaning momentum is going to stay in the wheels. And actually when you get to that sweet spot, the bike it wants to carry on. It doesn't want the front wheel to drop. So you've got a bit of added speed to the bike too. Another real nice tip is scratch yourself a marker or get a little kicker just to pop up the front wheel, then work on your progression. Try and manual 2 foot, then work it up to 3 foot, 6 foot, then 600 feet. The back brake is a massive part when it comes to manualing. You need to have 100% confidence in it. If you're trying to do it with contaminated pads or worn out pads, or simply you're not 100% confident in it, then you need to be giving it a miss. This thing can literally save your ass. If you don't look after it, it will have you on your ass. When it comes to riding styles and grips, people like to ride differently. A few people ride fingers out, covering the brakes, or some people like to ride fully committed. They call it death grip, by keeping all your fingers on the grips totally. But if you're learning to manual, I suggest you really need to learn to cover the back brake at all times. You just need your finger there in an instant. If you don't have your finger there, you could instantly be looped out straight onto your back. Try and learn to cover those brakes. We often hear about dropping your heels when it comes to technical descents and things like that, but that also applies to manualing. It's something that's often overlooked. Quite a lot of people have good technique, but that last point of contact from their feet is something that they're not actually doing correctly. They're coming into the manual and they've got their feet quite flat on the pedals. What you actually need to do is rock your feet and drop your heels and make sure that that pedal's rocked back and your actual energy is pushing the bike forward rather than being on top of the bike. So try dropping the heels, pushing into the pedals, keeping that front wheel high. When it comes to entry speed on the manual, you want to keep it nice and controlled. Like a nice slow kind of jogging speed is fine. If you're coming into it way too fast, you're gonna have no control, especially if things go wrong. If you're coming in too slow, you're not gonna get the gyroscopic effect in the wheels to keep that stability and the momentum to drive the bike forward. Nice and slow and controlled. The loop out zone is where you need to be for that fine balance point. A lot of riders never actually go far enough back to be in this zone. It's literally right on the edge of the balance point. If you're never falling off the back of the bike, then you've never actually gone deep enough into the loop out zone or the balance point. Good way of doing this is actually just sitting on your bike, holding the back brake on, putting your feet on the floor, and actually pulling the bars up to where they kind of feel like weightlessness. Where the bike feels light is actually the sweet spot and kind of where you want to be in that manual position. Get the bike in this position, get the weight back, as we talked about earlier, with a pull on the bars, getting the weight back down low, getting the weight behind that rear axle, and the manualing should come super easy. You never want to underestimate the weight of an e-bike too. If you're coming from a standard mountain bike to an e-bike, you might be able to manual already on a standard bike, but applying it to an e-bike is a different world. You obviously got your battery and the motor right down low, especially where you don't want it when it comes to manualing. So I suggest if you do want to learn the skill, it might be easier on a standard mountain bike and bringing it to the e-bike, but just bear in mind when you're doing it on the e-bike, you might have to over-exaggerate those movements. So there you go, I really hope you've enjoyed today's video on common manualing mistakes. But if you guys have got any tips for how to learn to manual or any other common mistakes that you guys are doing, drop them in the comments box below. Don't forget you can subscribe to EMBN by clicking the globe in the middle of the screen. But if you want to stick around for a little longer, check out common jumping mistakes. That video's over here, a really cool one. But that's it, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.